Hey gang, welcome back to another episode of Cooking with the Snack Master. I'm your Snack Master, Matt Rothstein, and today we're going to take another trip back to New Orleans, just like we did in episode 1 with the gumbo. Today we're changing things up just a little bit, slightly more refined dish than gumbo, because the gumbo's pretty rustic. Today we're doing shrimp etouffee. I love shrimp etouffee. I came up with this recipe years ago when I was actually babysitting my cousin, and she wanted shrimp etouffee. I knew something about Cajun food, so I just whipped something up. It's like I tell you guys all the time, when you know your flavors, when you know the ingredients that go in certain foods, you can just come up with things. So I came up with this. Now, etouffee is a word that means smothered, and so that's basically what this is. It's shrimp smothered in a delicious sauce. So we have here a bunch of our ingredients. I'm going to show you what to do. We're going to go through how to make a roux again, because you have to have roux in it, because it's Cajun food, and roux and Trinity goes in just about everything. So why don't we come back in just a second. We'll focus in on the ingredients a little bit, and we'll get going. So we'll be right back, gang. Alright, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master, and we're going to go through a little bit of the ingredients we have. First of all, we have our Trinity. So we have our onion, our bell pepper, and we have our celery. Now this, again, as I mentioned in the gumbo episode, is the classic foundation for all Cajun cooking. You have to have these ingredients. If you took away the bell pepper and you added in some carrot, you would have mirepoix, which is the foundation of classic French cooking and is a foundation used pretty much everywhere in the world. You can go to China and mirepoix would still be mirepoix. So we have those. We have some garlic. We gotta have the garlic, you know that. Fresh parsley. We have here some flour and some butter, because we gotta make a roux. Alright, now we're gonna get over to the stove and make that roux in just a minute. But before we do that, I wanted to show you one quick little knife skills trick for the day, which is how to dispatch a bell pepper. We got one right here, and this is a really easy trick. So we want to focus in on it. We just go around each side. You see how easy that works? And then you get rid of that over there, and you have all the seeds and all the stems right out, or most of the seeds. This isn't a spicy pepper, it's a bell pepper, so if you got a seed or two, it's not going to really hurt anything. But you just take that, and once it's taken off all four sides, if you want to dice it like we have here, just run through with your knife very quickly. Again, keep your fingers out of the way. Do the claw like I always show you, so your hands are safe. Turn it around, get your claw, and with the back part of the knife, that's when you start doing your fine chopping like this. And that is diced bell pepper. So we're going to use our bell pepper, and we're going to use this. We have over here some spices, and we're also going to get into. We have here paprika, we have cayenne pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, some bay leaf, we have oregano, thyme leaves, and fresh cracked black pepper. We're also, of course, going to have some salt, but that's over there by the stove. So we're going to move over there for our next shot, and we're going to go ahead and start. Things cooking, gang. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Alright, gang, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master. We got Michael here with us, and he's watching us cook today. First thing we want to do is I want to talk about stock. I've been mentioning to you that we're going to talk about stock a lot in the upcoming episodes, and we are. So before we get into the full stock episode with the beef stock, today we're going to do a little bit of a short version of it, which is shrimp stock, because we're making shrimp etouffee, right? So we want to build that foundation of flavor. We could add water to our roux when we're going to make our sauce, but water doesn't taste like anything. So we want a shrimp stock. So what do I have here? I got bones from shrimp, or shrimp shells. I had a bunch that I had in the freezer, plus I have the shells from today's shrimp that we're going to cook with. And we're going to just take those, and we're going to put those in water, which I want to turn the heat up on a little bit. And we're just going to take these and simmer these for about 30 minutes. And they will flavor the water, which will be fantastic. Because you want to have flavor in your food at many levels. So while we have that stock going, we're going to start getting into our rice real quick. Now, I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So at this altitude, rice works a little different than in a lot of places. I discovered that when I came here, and I found out the hard way. What I found out about rice is that where I come from at sea level, I'm from New York in Florida, rice is a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts liquid to 1 part rice, and you cook it for 20 minutes and you have beautiful fluffy rice. Here in New Mexico, where we're basically a mile high, that doesn't work. You have to change things up, and I learned that in culinary school. So we have here 1.5 cups of rice, and we have 3 3/4 cups of water, because out here you got to use about 25% more liquid than you would at sea level. What you also have to do is increase the time. This rice, instead of 20 minutes, is going to take about a half an hour. So what we're going to do is make the rice the way I always make it, which is basically what's called the peel-off method, which means you're going to saute the rice dry first before you add in any liquid. So I'm going to add in a little bit of canola oil into this pot back here. Just a little bit. You don't need to kill it. Get that going. After we have that, we're going to turn up the heat where we want it for just a second here. And then Michael is going to pour in the rice. Go ahead, Mike, pour in the rice. Very carefully. Can you reach? That's my boy. All of it, please. Good job, buddy. And once it gets in there, we just want to stir that around and let the oil coat the rice. And you're just going to let it cook for just a minute or two, just till you start to get a little bit of a nutty aroma out of it. And it doesn't take very long at all, but that coating the oil around the rice helps the rice to separate, helps the water to get around it and get into the rice, and it helps with the cooking process. And that already is looking great. So next we want to add a little bit of salt, and one trick that I like to do, a little bit of sugar. Not much, you don't want your rice to be sweet, but just a hint. It just adds something to a flavor that you don't even know what that is there, but it tastes good. So add that in. Okay. Last thing is one of those bay leaves. That gives a nice little aroma to the rice. Michael's going to put the bay leaf in. Right there. Good job, buddy. Now I'm starting to smell the rice. As soon as you start to smell it, that's when you want to add in your liquid. So we're going to add that in.
Wow.
And give that a little bit of a stir. We're going to cover that. And once that comes up to a boil, that rice right there, now we're going to lower the heat down to a simmer, and we're going to let it cook for 30 minutes. It'll do its thing, and we don't have to bother with it again. Matter of fact, don't bother with it again. You have to leave the lid on. If you take it off, if you check it, if you want to mess with it, you're going to mess up your rice. You got to leave rice to do its thing. So now that we have our stock going, and now that we have our rice going, now it's time to get back into our roux. Now we've talked a little bit about roux before, gang, but we're going to talk about it again. We have a nice hot pot here. A little too hot actually, but that's okay. And this time, instead of using bacon fat for the roux like we did with the chicken and sausage gumbo, we're going to make our roux with butter, because butter is a flavor that's going to complement the shrimp real well. So we want to add in some butter. We're saving one little piece of that butter. We'll show you why later. Okay, we want to get that butter in there. Get that to melt around. And it's a little bit smoky because we really cook on this show, gang. So we're going to get that going. Then we're going to add in some flour. We're going to stir the flour into the butter. Get it to completely incorporate. And we're going to do just like we did last time with the roux. We're going to let this cook. We're going to let it go for about 20 minutes until we get a nice, deep, brown, rich color. Because that's what you want for roux. That's a Cajun roux, that's a gumbo roux. Gumbo roux is the type of roux you want for etouffee as well. And it tastes fantastic. So this right here is coming together nicely. We want to keep stirring it. Like I told you before, you don't want to walk away from a roux, because if you do, you're going to burn it. And then you're starting over again. So this already has a little bit of color on it. but it's not quite where we want, so we're just going to keep stirring, and we're going to keep paying attention. That's going to take a little bit of time, gang, so while I stir the roux, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be ready for the next step to start putting this sauce together and making our lovely shrimp etouffee, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in a minute, gang. Uh-huh. Well, alright kids, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master. And you can see here that Snack Master Jr. is working on the roux. So he's giving it a stir, making sure to stir it around just like we do, so that it doesn't burn, just like I showed you. And we're getting a good dark color on this roux here. So we're getting ready to start adding in the next bit of ingredients, which is our trinity. And I'm going to continue to stir now. And while I stir, Michael is going to go get us the trinity.
Okay.
So first, Michael, if you can give me the onions, please.
Okay.
Uh-huh. I know. So here we go. We're going to cook the onions in there. Stir those in. You can immediately smell them, and like always, it smells fantastic. Alright, so that's good. Michael, can I have the bell pepper, please?
Okay. Can I pull it? Can I pull it?
Yeah, go ahead. Put it in, buddy. Good job. I just want to get those last little bits. That gets incorporated. Next thing, Michael, is please give me the bell pepper.
Okay.
Actually, I'd already asked you for the bell pepper, and you gave me the celery. That's okay. Alright, so now we have our trinity, and it's sauteing in our roux. We have this sauteing here. We have the trinity sauteing in the roux. See the nice vibrant color from that red bell pepper. Got that nice brown roux. Let's make sure we look at that. See the nice brown roux. It's beautiful. And the next thing we're going to add in here, because these look about ready to go, is the garlic. Mikey, can I have the garlic, please?
Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, put it in. All right. And since we don't want it to get bitter, I would say that that right there is just about ready to go. So now it's time to get our liquid. And the shrimp stock has been simmering for a little while now, so it's definitely got some flavor to it. And so we're going to take that, and we're going to put it through this fine mesh strainer here. Just going to get that in. We're going to give that a stir. And that right there is plenty of liquid for this sauce. We're going to incorporate that roux really good. So this thickens up nicely. And like always, you're not going to know how thick this is going to be until it comes to a full boil. So we're going to get this incorporated and let it come up to temperature. And when it comes up, we're going to see what we got. And if it's a little too thick, we'll add more stock. It's coming together very nicely here. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. Not quite as dark as a gumbo, but that's good because with the shrimp etouffee, you don't need it to be quite as dark as gumbo. So we stir this around, and that looks to me now like it's fully incorporated. So the next bit is just to see how thick it is. So we're going to let it come to a boil. See those bubbles starting to happen already? And I see the consistency we have here, and you know what? We need a little bit more stock. But only a little bit, because it's pretty close to what I want. Alright. And the good part about a stock is it can be refrozen. I have some shrimp stock left there. After I'm done putting all this food together, I'm going to strain off that stock and I'm going to go ahead and put it in, let it cool properly, and then I'm going to put it in the freezer. We got a little, another one of our French chef tricks here, which is we're going to see if it coats the back of a spoon, or in this case, the back of a spatula. What you want to do is do like this and put that line in the middle. See how that line stays in the middle separated right there? Can you see that? That right there is French. It's called nappe. When you have nappe, that's the consistency you want for a sauce. So since I think we're in pretty good shape with this sauce now, what we're going to do is we're going to start to season it up. We need to flavor it. So first of all, we have salt. Next, Michael's going to start giving us spices, aren't you, Michael?
Yeah.
So, start bringing them to me, whatever you got.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's one.
Don't give me that yet, Michael. See, Mike, you just went to hand me the fresh parsley, and we're going to handle that a little bit differently because you see, when you're taking dry herbs like the oregano that we put in there, you want to put that in nice and early so when it's time to rehydrate and cook out and get its flavor into the sauce. When you're using fresh herbs, you want to put those in at the end so that they can still stay nice and vibrant. So we're going to get that fresh parsley and put that in at the end of the dish. We're not going to put it in right now. Now this sauce is coming together beautifully. Looks just like how I want it to look, but we do still need to add a little more flavor. And these are some of the similar flavors as what we use in the gumbo. So we got a little bit of ketchup here. Add a little bit of that in the sauce. Ooh. Gonna add in some Worcestershire sauce. Okay. Gonna add in a little bit of hot sauce. Alright, now that's looking fantastic and it's smelling absolutely amazing. But the sauce, we want to let it cook here for a while, and we want to let it take some time to develop some flavor. So this is going to do that, and I'm going to take a break, and when we come back we'll be adding in the shrimp and getting ready to put this whole thing together. So we'll be right back on Cooking with the Snack Master. Alright kids, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master. The sauce has been simmering for about an hour and a half now. It tastes absolutely fantastic. So now we're at a point where the next step is to actually get the shrimp in here and just let the shrimp cook. So we're going to get that going right now. We got our shrimp here. Beautiful, extra large shrimp, 26/30s, which means that there's 26 to 30 per pound. And we're going to take those and stir those in. And we're going to let those cook in the sauce. They'll only take 5 minutes or so. The thing with shrimp is that you can tell when it's cooked by how it looks. When it starts to turn opaque and change color, it's done. You don't want to overcook the shrimp because it'll become rubbery. So, the rice is done. The shrimp etouffee, the sauce is beautiful. The shrimp just have to cook. They're just going to take a few minutes in this sauce. So we're going to put the lid back on here, let this cook and let it do its thing. And when we come back, gang, we're going to plate up and get ready to eat. So stick around. Alright kids, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master. Everything is in business. It's time to get things moving now. The shrimp is cooked. Took about 5 to 8 minutes. I don't really time it. I just figure it out by feel and by look. It started to curl up. It's white. I tasted one. It was perfectly tender. So it's time to eat. So what we got to do before we eat is two things. First of all, I mentioned before the parsley, right? The fresh parsley. I want to do it at the end so that it stays nice and vibrant. So I'm going to take some of that, put that in the pan. And then there's one other thing that I had mentioned to you before that we got to get back to, which is, remember before I mentioned that we had this pat of butter here? We have this extra pat. Well, you know what that's for? It's a classic French sauce technique. It's called mont à beurre. Now what mont à beurre means is mount with butter. And you mount a sauce. What you do with butter to mount a sauce is you bring it in at the end, stir it in and incorporate it. It adds a richness and lushness to the sauce, and it of course adds flavor. Time to play it up so we can actually eat this, because I'm hungry. So, let's get some rice. Add some rice to the center of the plate here. I want that to have a little bit of height, because when plates have height, they look pretty. It makes the food look appetizing and presentable. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Now, we go in for the lovely, lovely shrimp etouffee. Now remember, etouffee is about the sauce. It's a smothered dish, so we want to get some of that sauce. Make sure we get that on the rice. Bring it around. Now we go in for more sauce and some of that shrimp. How much shrimp do you want to serve? How hungry are you? Me? I'm the snack master, and I'm hungry, so we're gonna eat. That looks, oh, look at that. Look at that. That's a beautiful sight. Want to garnish it? I'm gonna use a little more fresh parsley at the end here, right over the top, just to give it a little bit of green on the plate. Make sure we get some of that sauce in with the rice. Get some of that shrimp right there. That's fantastic. That's amazing. It's a lovely, rich, full flavor. The shrimp are tender and perfectly cooked. I have to have another. That's a food reaction right there, kids. That is when you know you're eating something good. Now let me tell you something, gang. We're just about ready to wrap things up. So Michael, come here. You see this dish?
Yeah.
You helped Daddy make it, huh?
Uh-huh.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. You want to eat some of this with me when we're done? Let me tell you something, gang. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go eat my lunch. You guys are going to go cook this recipe, and then you're going to have some. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at @the1snackmaster. Remember the number 1, not the word, @the1snackmaster. So follow us on Twitter. You can also get us on Facebook at Cooking with the Snackmaster. And don't forget, of course, to follow us on our blog, which is cookingwiththesnackmaster.tumblr.com. You can find us at all these places, so please pay attention to what's going on with the Snackmaster and keep up with us. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.